Hello, this video is sort of leading on from the scale work that we've been doing to start exploring the world of chords, which is really useful when we're doing improvising. So I'll get into that a little bit more, but before that we do that, we're going to do a little bit of a recap. Make sure you've tuned your instrument, so go back to the tuning video, make sure that's all ready. So we're going to be using C major today. And we'll just do a little recap of C major before we get started. So remember, we've got 8 notes in our major scale with the pattern semitone between the 3rd and 4th and the 7th makes degreed scale. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, or do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Mi and fa and ti and do are close. We're in C major, so we start with C, D, and we go up the alphabet, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if we transfer that to the piano, we realise that the same pattern of close gaps and close tones and semitones are on the white notes of the piano. C, D, E and F are close, G, A, B, C. So we don't have any accidentals in our C major key signature. So we're going to have a go at warming up with our C major scales. So violinists, we're going to start with 3rd finger on the G string. Cellists, you can start with 4th finger on your G string. And I'd like you to play in unison with me first off. So we're going to have semi-breves, 4 beats to each note of the scale, and we're going to start together. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you found that a little bit tricky, maybe stop the video, go and find your scale book if you have one, and just recap your fingering for a C major scale. We do it in more detail in one of the other videos for C major, so you can go back and recap that one if you'd like to. Okay, now we're going to do the same scale again, but we're going to use minims, but we're still going to keep 4 beats per note. So we're going to do 2 woo, 2 woo, 2 woo, 2 woo. So 2 minim bows on each note. You can stick with me if you want to, or this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first 2 notes of the scale, and then when I get to the 3rd note of the scale, the E, I'd like you to come in with your C so that you're playing in harmony with me, okay, in thirds. So I will tell you when to come in if you're going to try and do the harmony section. If you're not so sure on that, you can just stick with me. So I'm going to count myself in 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to say now when the next group have to come in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Get ready now. Good, okay. So I added on an extra 2 bars of C at the end, just so that we kept the harmony going right to the end. So if you were with me, that might have taken you by surprise. Okay, so now we're going to keep going in that thirds, in that harmony. You can stick with me if you want, or I'll tell you when to join in when I get to the E. We're going to change to a different bowing pattern this time. So we're going to do T, 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 2, so quaver, quaver, minim. Just so that we start exploring the different bits of our bow. So if we start around, actually we're going to start right at the heel. Let's just practice it with some open string Ds. So it will go T, 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 2, and try and get right to the tip of your bow. T, 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 2. Okay. Make sure that the elbow doesn't go behind, that we're keeping a similar sounding point. I'll come a bit further forward so I don't bang into the mirror. So we go T, 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 2, T, 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 2, T, 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 2. Remember, when you get to the tip of the bow, feel the weight on that first finger, and when we get to the heel of the bow, feel the weight in the little finger, but let the bow sink into the string. Okay, so I'll count myself in for 4 beats, and then I'll say now if you want to play in harmony with me, and you come in when I get to my E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, if you are learning 3rd position or have learned 2nd position and you'd like to have experiment with doing the C major scale today in 3rd position for violins, it's looking like this, or in 2nd position starting on your 2nd finger at the same octave, or if you'd like to try in 2nd position up on the top 2 strings, or in 3rd position an octave higher. All of those options are available to you. Cellos, you can also have a go at starting on your open C as well as starting on the 4th finger like we did. So there's lots of options. You can go squiz back in the video and do those scales again using different fingering patterns if you want to develop some areas of your technique a little bit further. Right, so I said we were doing about chords. So we've so far been looking at tonic triads. Tonic is the first note of your scale, sort of the happy note where you like to where we feel happiest, and we use letters, the notes of the scales 1, 3 and 5. So that would be a C, an E and a G. And when we see them on the stave, they sort of build up a little snowman that looks like that. Draw some little eyes, little mouth. Yeah, okay, so that is our tonic triad, okay, and we've done a lot of work on those already. So it's number 1, so we're going to use a Roman numeral 1 for that chord, okay, so let's do it in red. So chord number 1 is there, okay. So now we're staying in C major. We haven't modulated into G major, but we're going to use another group of 3 notes that we have seen before in a different way, but now they have a different function. So now what we do is we want to find, that's our tonic chord, we want to find the dominant chord. We call that chord 5. You don't need to worry about the names if you haven't come across them before. Dominant. Okay, it means it's sort of strong. Okay, and what we do is we do exactly the same. We build up a chord starting on G. So we do G, skip 1, B, skip 1, C. B, skip 1, and then we go to D. Okay, let's use a different colour for that one. And we call that chord 5. And we use a Roman numeral 5 for that. Okay? So whilst this is the same as the tonic triad in G major, here it has a different function. It works as the dominant chord in the key of C major. Now a lot of those words might be like, whoa, way too much information, but I think the sound is what is important, and I think that you'll recognise the sound. So when we're playing a melody, to sort of make it sound more 3D, we can give it a chord accompaniment. Okay, so if I have a chord of C major, so that's what we've been dealing with so far, just tonic triads. And then if I want a bit of a change, I might go to chord 5 and go. And it has a feeling of sort of not quite being finished, and it wants to come back to here. So just by using 2 different groups of notes, instead of just having the same soundscape the whole way through, we sort of take ourselves on a little musical journey. Okay, and then it's starting, our improvising that we're doing with all of the rhythms, it's actually then starting to sound like a more sort of grown up 3D piece of music rather than just an exercise. Okay, so when you see chords written sometimes above a melody line, you could see them written as Roman numerals, or you could see just the letter C, G as a capital, and that tells us it's a C major chord or it's a G major chord. Okay, but at the moment I'm going to be using the Roman numerals because that then sort of gets your brain thinking a bit harder. Right, so let's put them in practice. So I've gone very simple with our rhythms again because I want our brains to have the capacity to think about the notes that we're doing. So in the first group rhythm, we're going to do chord 1. In the second group, we're going to do chord 5. In the third group, we're going to do chord 5. And in the fourth group, we're going back to chord 1. So it's a C chord, a G chord, a G chord, and back to a C chord. Okay, so let's just practice that in separately. All right, so our first rhythm is ta, 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 and the notes we need to use for that are a C, an E, and a G. Okay, so if we were just being really simple, we could just do 4 C's for each of those tas. So join in with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we wanted to make it more complicated, we could do 2 notes. So let's say an E and a G. Let's do a C and an E. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. In a regular pattern. Now if we want to go more complicated, so each time we run through these rhythms I'm going to give you easy, medium and hard. This is the harder version where you don't particularly have a regular pattern and you just play any of those 3 notes that come into your mind. So off we go. Okay, and we sort of noodle around, we're using all 3. So you know where you're going to be at with that, how confident you're going to be feeling, and that will get better as you go along. So now let's have a look at our rhythm pattern number 2. So now we're not using a C major chord anymore, we're using a G chord. So let's just do the rhythm just on a G first. This is our easy level. Ready, steady, off we go. And if you're wanting to experiment, you could use open G and then the G the octave above and tune that way. Then we can use 2 notes. So using the same rhythmic pattern, we're going to use G and B in a sort of regular way and noodle between the 2. So ready, steady, off we go. Okay, and then lastly we're going to use all 3 notes G, B, D in a free way, but sticking to the same rhythm. And as I said before, every time we're doing this you can go an octave above, you can try the notes at the same pitch that I'm doing but try them in 3rd position. So there's lots of sort of extensions that you can do to sort of test yourselves. So I'm starting on a G and I'm going to do G, B and D, but to this rhythmic pattern. Ready, steady, off we go. Okay, so you get the idea. So that's easy, medium and hard, using the rhythms that are given to you and following the chord that I have given here. So we've got, when it's chord 1, we use C, E or G, and actually no, I'm not going to write them up other than the letter name, because part of the challenge is to sort of be able to in your head go C chord, right, C, E, G, those are my notes. G chord, right, G, B, D, those are my notes. And instead of freezing and going, I can't remember what the notes are, you think, okay, well, I'll just stick with C for this time round. And then the next beat of 4, I might add in another note now I've had a chance to think about it. So your brain is always thinking ahead while you're playing things rather than stopping, trying to work it out. And that's part of the skill of improvising, okay? So we're going to do one run through where I'm going to do the simplest version. So I'm going to do 1 note for those 4 beats. So I'm going to do 1 note from the C chord, let's say C for 4 beats. Then I'm going to do E for 4 beats, G for 4 beats, and back to C for 4 beats. Then I'm going to outline this chord with this rhythm. So I'll do G for 4 beats, B for 4 beats, D for 4 beats, and back to G for 4 beats. I'm going to do exactly the same, G for 4 beats, B for 4 beats, D for 4 beats, back to G, and then I'll go back to the C chord, C for 4 beats, E for 4 beats, G for 4 beats, C for 4 beats, okay? So we're outlining the chords, but we're only changing note every 4 beats. Now, if you want to stick with me for this simplest version, then you can do. If you want to start experiment already, then off you go, okay? So, easy version, everybody together. Ready, steady, off we go. Change to a G chord. G chord. Go to a C chord. Okay, so we did each of the rhythms 4 times and we chose a single note for each set of 4 beats. Now what we're going to do is we're going to choose 2 notes for each group of 4 beats. If you want to just have another go at the easy version that I've just done, fine, you do that along. Now at the moment what we're going to do is we're going to be we're all playing the same rhythm. At the moment we'll be playing different harmonies, but we're all playing the same rhythm at the moment, okay, just so that we match the rhythms with the chords. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 notes for every 4 beats. So imagine they would go next 4 beats, next 4 beats, next 4 beats. Okay, so I've created a little simple pattern and I'm choosing 2 beats for each set of 4. Okay, so you can go simpler if you want, and you can have a go at going harder if you want, or you can stick with me. Okay, so let's go from the beginning. Rhythm 1. Ready, steady, off we go. Get ready to change to a G chord now. Stay on the G chord. C chord. Okay, so that was the medium version, and now we're going to have a go at a harder version. Okay, so our harder version this time is you can use any notes, C, E, G, at any point in these 4 beats. And remember, we do each set of 4 beats 4 times. And we end up with a 16-bar phrase. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. I just assumed you knew that that's how we were going to do it, because we always do. Then here we're going to have, you can use any combination of G, B and D using this rhythm. Okay, and that goes over 4 bars, and then we're going to do 4 lots of this rhythm using these 3 notes, and then 4 lots of this rhythm using these 3 notes. So if you're struggling with this and you're finding it hard to sort of think about what note to play next as with the rhythms and everything, which is absolutely fine because it can be a very new thing to lots of people, just stick with the letter name of the chord. So just do C's for 4 bars, and then do G's for 4 bars, and then do G's for 4 bars, and then C's for 4 bars. And when you're feeling a bit braver, you might add in an extra note. But even doing that over what I'm playing will sound really nice. So hopefully you'll get the feeling of the chord moving, even if you're just sort of getting to grips with just using the sort of the root note of the chord. Okay, are we ready? So I'm going to be using all the notes of the chord all over my violin, and you can pick the level that you feel is appropriate. Okay, you ready? Ready, steady, off we go. we're going to do one more where I would like you to keep the same rhythm. So you're going to do the rhythm pattern. Actually, no, we're going to do it the opposite way around. Now, what I'd like you to do is follow this pattern. So you're going to do 4 bars of C, 4 bars of G, 4 bars of G, 4 bars of C. So using the notes that go with those chords. But you're going to ignore these rhythms, okay? So I'm going to do those rhythms, but now you've got free rein to make up your own rhythms to go over the top. You don't have to plan them beforehand. So you've got 4 bars of C, 4 bars of G, 4 bars of G, and 4 bars of C. And this time I'm going to stick with the rhythm that's written down, and you can choose your own rhythm to go over the top. And as I say, you don't have to plan it, just go with whatever pops into your head. You can't get it wrong. The main thing is just keep going, okay? So this time I will say change in between each of the groups of 4, so we know when we're changing chord. Okay, you ready? So ready, steady, off we go. I'm going to stop there because I said change and I changed onto a G chord, and that was totally my fault. Half an hour into a video and make a mistake like that. Tell you what, we're going to start again, and I'll just show you that grown-ups brains get fried and make mistakes just like everybody else's. So we're going to start that one again. So we do 4 bars of C, 4 bars of G, another 4 bars of G, so that's 8 bars of G, must remember, and then 4 bars of C. Okay, let's have another go. So, ready, steady, 4 bars of C. Change to G. Stay on G. Back to C. Right, I hope you did better than I did on that one. So that gives you a general overview of the very beginning of how we use chords and improvising. So you sort of hold a pattern of 3 notes in your head, and you sort of manipulate how you can switch between them. And if you know how those chords work and how you can go between them, then you can sort of pick up an accompaniment to a melody that's going on without having to sort of plan it or really know it first. So it really is sort of the basis of true sort of improvising. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you kept going. You can watch it again and challenge yourself to do harder versions every time you have a go. All right.